the vaccines have been shown to be effective, and it's China's vaccines have been an important tool to fight the virus, not just in China but internationally in terms of the billions of doses that have been sent around the world. And I mean, it really is the case in the Western media and Western governments that they will just attack China no matter what. So we've had blanket coverage in the last 3 years against China's zero COVID policy, which objectively saved millions of lives in China. I mean, if the US policy of just letting the virus rip from almost day one was allowed in China, then 4 million people would have died. And I think there's just a constant drip smear campaign against China, and that includes on the vaccines as well. But there's also a minority in the West which is engaged in spreading conspiracy theories against all of the vaccines, and that does get some sort of media coverage over here too. So I think, as has been said, the vital thing is that all these vaccines are an important tool to fight against the pandemic. And again, it's really disappointing to see the Western media try and politicize this rather than have a sense that this is a shared threat to humanity and we have to fight back together.
Mm-hmm. Well, earlier you mentioned about singling out the Chinese travelers could be lead to more racism or politicization of the pandemic. It reminds me of the very beginning, politicization of the pandemic. Remember, the Trump government basically called the virus, China virus. Of course, people are very much concerned about being singled out. So it seems like not only the Chinese tourists are concerned about the extra restrictions, but also groups inside the U.S., for example, Stop AAPI Hate, a U.S.-based national coalition addressing anti-Asian hate, said that, quote, targeting travelers from China is not just an ineffective policy, it also promotes racist and xenophobic attack against Asian Americans. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, they say in a war, the first casualty is the truth, which is true. But also in this Cold War, the second casualty has actually been people of Asian heritage in Western countries who have suffered greatly from all of this propaganda against China, including this racist propaganda from the likes of Donald Trump to say, the virus is a China virus. And this has very serious consequences, very violent consequences. So the group you mentioned, Stop AAPI Hate, they collect data on hate crimes. And between March 2020 and June 2021, there were over 9,000 incidents of anti-Asian harassment, shunning and physical assault within the United States. And we're seeing a similar trend in Britain too, where, basically when you have politicians attacking China and trying to suggest that they're a unique threat to humanity, which of course is ridiculous, this just encourages the far right and racists to attack people who appear to be Chinese or of Asian heritage. And that's just had very serious consequences. We've seen a really big increase in racism in the United States and in Britain.